Thanks everyone for joining. I know it's very early and you're on the last leg of 20Books. Your brains are probably very full, so I do appreciate you coming to check out another talk. So thank you for coming. So this is The World is Your Market. We're going to be talking about using Kobo Plus to reach global readers. So let's have a quick introduction. So my name is Cremin. I'm the director for Kobo Writing Life with a focus on the English language. And then my colleague Rachel is over here.
Hello, I'm Rachel. I'm the promotion specialist at Kobo.
So just a quick overview of the agenda for today. We're going to talk a little bit about Rakuten Kobo. If you're not familiar, give you a little bit of a sense of what Rakuten is, what we do. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Kobo e-readers that we're making, and then also how you can reach readers using Kobo Writing Life, which is what we really focus on, and then a really in-depth look at Kobo Plus, because that was sort of the focus that I wanted to kind of really emphasize with you guys today. My Outlook is updating. So Rakuten, if you're not familiar, is a Japanese e-commerce giant. They are our parent company. I actually saw an ad for them on the hotel TV last night. So it's where you can, one of the things that they do, they're formerly were eBay, where you can earn rewards as you buy, but that's just one sort of aspect of what they do. Wanted to give you a sense of like the global scale, kind of coming out of Japan there. Rakuten Kobo is based in Canada, but there's also companies working all over the world. And they're celebrating their 25th anniversary this year, which is a huge milestone for the company so far. So to give you a sense of the scale about what Rakuten is working on, they're operating in 30 countries and regions around the world, and these countries amount to about 1.6 billion global members within the Rakuten ecosystem, which is really, really something when you think about it, and that is with over 70 services. So this wheel sort of shows you just a quick overview of like the different areas there, with the three main pillars being sort of membership, communications, data, but Rakuten sort of works in everything. And if you see the little corner here, with the digital content, that's where Rakuten Kobo comes into it. So we're part of this bigger system, but we are powering their digital content for their ebooks and their audiobooks. And that's alongside, we have Rakuten TV and Rakuten Viki there as well for the other digital media. So if you're not familiar with Kobo, we like to think that we stand for books, quite literally, because it is an anagram of the word book, which I have to say did take me quite a while before I worked at Kobo to figure out. So that's something that we like to sort of emphasize if you're wondering what is Kobo. So we like to think about it as your local, your favorite local bookshop that is perfected. So we kind of try and take what we call a globally local view of book selling. So we want everyone's experience to be individual and slightly different when they're coming into our store. We want you to see the books that you really want to read. We do sell across the world in many, many regions, but we also understand that there's some sort of differences between selling books in France as there are to selling books in Canada. So we have people on the ground that are sort of really the experts in their field in these areas. So our overall mission really is to bring the power of reading to the world, because we are book lovers. I feel really kind of privileged to get to work and lead a team of book lovers who can tell me all the latest TikTok trends, which we were just talking about. And then we do everything in-house, so our focus is really on just digital reading. We're not trying to get you into the Kobo ecosystem to upsell you something else. We're just all about improving that digital reading experience. And with that in mind, we believe that we've made an e-reader for everyone. We're really proud of the devices that we make. We have like award-winning, world-class ones. We've got waterproof models. We actually made the first waterproof model in the market a few years ago. And we continue to innovate. We release maybe 1 to 2 new devices a year. Rachel gets to beta test a lot of the devices, so she has sort of the inside information. But I wanted to highlight sort of just 2 of the latest kind of innovations that we've been doing in the device world that you might not be familiar with. So the first one, this was released at the end of 2020, and it is the Kobo Ellipsa. It is the largest device that we've made. It has an over 10-inch screen, and it was the very first device that we've made that actually had notebook integration in it. So it can be paired with the Kobo stylus. So you can mark up your EPUBs, but you can also just create notes. It has the script to text functionality where it will automatically change that for you. it's fully integrated into Dropbox, so you can really like share files, go back and forth and everything. As writers, I know that can be important if you're sharing things with your editors, so we really wanted to make that experience something really easy. It captures your doodles, which is my number one reason that I like to use it, and it also has ebooks and audiobooks integrated there as well. So that was sort of a really big innovation for us. We also have one more device, the Kobo Sage, that has note-taking capability as well, which is a smaller device. And then our latest device that we released maybe a month or so ago is the Kobo Clara 2E. This is the second generation of one of our most popular devices, which was the Kobo Clara HD. The main difference here being that this device is being made with up to 90% ocean-bound recyclable plastics. So it's sort of trying to appeal to the more eco-conscious consumer, and we're trying to be a bit more thoughtful with what we're doing when we're putting our devices out into the world. It's made to be completely waterproof. This also has ebooks and audiobooks integrated, so you can connect to your Bluetooth speakers, your Bluetooth headphones, and the customers can listen to both in the one device. So yeah, I wanted to give you a little overview of what we've been up to that you might not be familiar with. So then Kobo Writing Life, which is sort of my bread and butter that I've been working on for 10 years now, which is a lifetime. But we like to think that it stands for writers. So it's the self-publishing platform that allows you to get your books onto Kobo and onto our partner sites. And this was doing the rounds recently on social and just sort of in the author groups, and I wanted to share it. I know this is quite a wordy quote, but this is Michael Tamlin, who is the Kobo CEO, and he was recently at Frankfurt Book Fair, and he was on a panel where they were talking about like the state of the publishing industry as a whole. And something that we always really find so interesting is that publishing is still not including indie, like when we're looking at the stats. It's often not including ebooks, which when our sort of main focus is that, it's sort of interesting to see this representation within how the publishing industry is being presented. Michael Tamlin sort of talked about how like we understand the importance of the self-publishing community in any of the markets that we're in. Independently published books, they're the first, second, or third largest publisher. So if you put that into the context that kind of is easier to hear, is that it's basically like having another Penguin Random House. Like that is the size of this market, and we really that's why we do so much focus on the work that we're doing. But he also referred to it as indie publishing is like the dark matter of publishing that you're not really aware of unless you're like working on it or in it or selling these books. Nobody else really knows that it's there. So I just wanted to share that. And if you're interested in kind of learning more about why we created Kobo Writing Life, we have a podcast called the Kobo Writing Life podcast, and there's a really great interview with Michael Tamlin where he kind of talks about why we did this at the beginning and like why indies are sort of so important, even to his kind of business brain, because we're very lucky to have a CEO who is a content guy and all about the books, you know. So this year, Kobo Writing Life celebrated our 10th anniversary, which was sort of a big milestone for us as well. So I wanted to highlight just some of the things that we've been doing throughout the 10 years. So we launched in 2012. In 2013, we launched the Kobo Writing Life podcast, and Rachel is one of the hosts of the podcast. We've just surpassed our 300th episode, which seems crazy. So we're really excited about that. And then from about 2013 to 2015, a lot of our focus was on this increasing in popularity market, and then how can we really surface your books within Kobo. So we did a lot of promotional improvements. So we introduced like buy more, save more promotions, different price promotion tools, the price scheduling and everything like that. In 2015, Kobo launched loyalty points for Kobo VIPs. So we actually have super points that the more that you earn, the more that you read, the more points that you earn. And customers that have VIP memberships, they pay like an annual subscription to this, and then they earn more points again. We have a lot of promotions that aim just for them, which is really interesting for indies to get their books in front of like those really dedicated readers. In 2015, we launched the Kobo Emerging Writer Prize, which is something that we do for Canadian debut authors. We've done every year since then. And what I like a lot about this is that one, we get to judge, which is always very fun. But it's in literary fiction, non-fiction, but we also rotate the genre. So we also, was romance last year? Yeah, so we had romance last year, and we rotate between sort of like mystery and like there was paranormal and things like that. most positive too. Which I think a lot of the pro writing prizes don't do. So we give each year, each winner in those categories receives $10,000 and lots of marketing support for their debut work. And one year our romance author was actually a Kobo Writing Life author as well that I had met at a workshop in Ottawa, which was a really nice story to like. She was like, I'll submit my book, and she ended up winning, which was really great. From 2016, we sort of tried to improve the platform itself. We have a lot of metadata improvements to make sure the searchability is really great on our store. And then 2017 is when we launched Kobo Plus in Europe. And then we kind of continued to like expand our distribution. We added libraries. We have overdrive distribution. We started doing some social live Q&As on YouTube and Facebook. If you guys ever wanted to check those out, those are still there. In 2019, we launched direct audiobook publishing. So if you have your audiobook ready to go, you can upload that through Kobo Writing Life as well. And then in 2020, we sort of just continued our expansion. We added promotional opportunities for audiobooks and for libraries. And then Kobo Plus just continued to expand into Canada and a number of new regions in Europe and Australia and New Zealand also. And then one of the big things that we were working on this year was our new sales dashboard. So we wanted to sort of really improve the analytics that we were giving our authors and make sure that we had captured a lot of the sales that are going on. So this dashboard allows ebooks and audiobook sales all in one place. It also has your pre-order numbers, which I know is probably the number one ask that we would get from authors, just to see their pre-orders. And it lets you export live sales data to Excel, so you don't have to wait for a monthly sales report. The Kobo Plus information is coming soon. We're actively working on that, and we hope to introduce it in the near future. And if you're interested in seeing this dashboard, if you don't have access at the moment, you can email the team at writinglife@kobo.com, and they'll enable this for you. But we will be defaulting this over probably in the early new year. So what makes Kobo Writing Life different to a lot of the other retailers that you might be familiar with? So the first one, I think, and probably the most important, is that there's no exclusivity required. It sort of goes against our ethos. We're not going to ask you for exclusivity. We really encourage you to publish your books on as many platforms so you can get in front of as many readers however they would like to read. So if you're publishing widely, we can just try and do our best to make you successful at Kobo while you publish on all the other platforms as well. We like to think we have a really easy to use platform. That's a lot of the feedback that we get, is that it's a really quick publishing turnaround. Even because we process our audiobooks in-house, so if you're publishing audiobooks through us, they're getting published within 24 hours. So it's a really quick, because we're kind of doing all of the files ourselves. And then we have a small team, but with a big vision. With coming direct to us, you do get access to the Kobo Writing Life business team, who are just dedicated to try and help you succeed. We view this as a partnership. You know, we don't succeed without you succeeding, so we really kind of want to work together. We're always open to experiment in terms of promotions, and I'm willing to listen to ideas that indies have. And we really do have a truly global reach. These are just pulled from Twitter. This is the Kobo Writing Life dashboard map that just shows some sales. It's under the hashtag KWL map that sometimes authors share them, which I always find really interesting to see. And I think Joanna Penn has sold in 162 countries through Kobo Writing Life, which is really incredible. So it just gives you a sense of the scale. Sometimes when we think about indie publishing, we tend to sort of default to think about North America. But with Kobo, I think the main difference is that you are reaching this global platform of readers. And what I like to think as well with Kobo Writing Life is that there's like 4 main types of readers that you're going to reach, potentially in one easy platform. So we have your sort of like, what I'm calling a traditional digital reader, which is maybe like an oxymoron, but somebody that is just reading ebooks. They probably own a device, they're buying books and following authors. And then you also have our listeners that are probably focused more on the audiobook experience. They like to listen to books while they're doing things. They're sort of probably constantly listening to things on the go. The subscriber, who probably overlaps with the e-reader. You know, there is overlap if this was a Venn diagram, but they're kind of an individual reader where they really are consuming books at a very quick pace, more likely to follow the genre and the feel of the book than necessarily one author in particular. They just want to keep reading the next book. And then the borrower is the last one, who is really dedicated to the libraries. They want to feel sort of good about using the library system. They probably will be patient, put holds on books and not worry about that, but will read everything. They'll listen to librarian recommendations. So all of our devices, I should have mentioned actually, are integrated with Overdrive. So when you have a Kobo e-reading device, it's very easy for you to just enter your library card and then just be able to borrow books there. And it's fully sort of, we sort of encourage people to use the library system. So then for the focus of this kind of conversation here, I wanted to talk about Kobo Plus specifically and kind of just really kind of focus on this type of subscriber reader. So Kobo Plus is our non-exclusive subscription reading platform. That's probably the main thing, is the non-exclusivity. It's a very similar platform to the other subscriptions that you might be familiar with. It's a revenue share model, but the main difference here is that we actually calculate it based on the minutes that a book has been read. We don't use page reads. And the reason that we built it out like this is that it allows us to treat ebooks and audiobooks exactly the same, and it really reduces any risk of gamification. So we're kind of taking the time, just calculating the amount of time that a book is being read. And you might be kind of thinking, some books are read, or some readers are fast readers, some readers are slow readers, and how does this affect things? But we did a lot of studies when we sort of moved over to the minutes read. We looked at it by genre. We actually broke it down, and we were like, all right, what is the average minute speed per genre, per book? And we really didn't see enough of a variance, like for a lack of a better term, that it kind of all comes out in the wash, that the fast readers and the slow readers sort of balance themselves out when it comes to it in the end. And then to go over the payment model for Kobo Plus, so we have our main metrics here. So in any given market, so say just for this, we'll focus on the Canadian market. So we have our total number of subscribers, and so you have their revenue from their subscription in any given month. And then what we do with the total revenue is that we divide that by the total number of minutes that have been consumed in that month. And this gives us the value of that minute. So the value per minute can vary month to month, geo to geo. It doesn't vary very dramatically, but you'll see these on your sales invoices that will show you the value per minute each month. And then how the payout works is that we take that value per minute, and then we multiply that by the total number of minutes that your book has been consumed, and then multiply that by 60%, which is your author share. So I'm happy to dive into this a bit more if you have an email or question. I know it's sort of hard to just gauge from this slide, but happy to explain that further as well after. And then how you can access Kobo Plus is that it's actually built into as you're publishing. So when you're creating a book on Kobo Writing Life, you have your 4 steps to publishing, and in the rights and distribution section, this is where you'll be able to opt into Kobo Plus. So you have the option of selecting all territories, and the great thing about doing this is that it actually includes future territories. So if we do have launches further down the line, you don't have to go back in and add everything again. But we did also build it out with giving the authors the control over where you wanted to put your books. So perhaps you didn't want to put your brand new release into Kobo Plus in Canada, our biggest market, but you could try it in the Netherlands if you weren't too sure. We really built it out with wanting to give authors as much control as possible. We don't have any time limits, so you can remove your books at any time. You can try out a territory, change it up and everything. Obviously, I'd encourage you to keep your books in to sort of gain traction in this sort of platform, but there is no time requirements or anything like that, so you have the control over everything. And if you wanted to bulk opt in your books, because I know lots of authors have lots and lots of books, we can do that for you. You can just email writinglife@kobo.com and let us know that you want to put all of your books in, and we'll just do that very easily. So I want to talk about kind of where Kobo Plus is. I know this can kind of seem like a random group of countries where we're having this platform, but there's a lot of thought to it. It goes back to what I said earlier about like the globally local view of book selling, is that we do treat each territory with with book selling nuances. So we launched this in 2017 in Belgium and the Netherlands in partnership with ball.com, who is our retail partner there, a huge partner for us. And the reason that we launched there was that it was sort of interesting because when you're using a Kobo, and if you are sideloading books into your Kobo, we can actually see that. So it's interesting to us to see, okay, this person is reading, they're in our ecosystem, they're not buying books, so like how can we entice them to come in? Like we know that they want to use it. So the subscription model was something that we really thought would appeal to this type of reader. And in 2017, which feels only like yesterday, but also a very long time ago, subscriptions weren't as the norm as they are now. So we launched in Belgium and the Netherlands to try and see how we would be able to capture this reader. And it's been hugely successful there. It's really taken off, not just with indies, with publishers as well, that it's just been a really great boost for that market there. So we kind of took the learnings from Belgium and the Netherlands, and then we wanted to expand further into Europe and really lean on the partnerships that we have in those areas. So Fnac is one of our biggest partners in France and has been probably a partner since day one at Kobo. So it's really been great to be able to integrate Kobo Plus with them. And what I want to highlight that's sort of really interesting with why we launched in Portugal was because a publisher came to us. So this publisher, Leia, and eLeia is their online part of the business. They wanted to offer their books in a subscription model, but they didn't know how to do it. They didn't have the sort of structure built out to do it at all. So we were able to partner with them to have their books in the subscription model, but then also add our content there as well. And then in Italy, it's kind of interesting because we have 3 partners there, Feltrinelli, IBS, and Labraccio. Pardon my Italian accent. But so they actually are combined to make this e-commerce hub where these partners come together and allow their customers to read the books there as well. So just sort of wanting to highlight like the different work that we're doing that's kind of different in each area. And I kind of refer to these as like the non-English geos. That's not to say that English isn't being read, but just how we're dividing it in my mind mostly. So then if we look at the English geos, or the primarily English geos, so we launched in Canada in 2020, which was really huge, and as our biggest market and our home turf, we did it on our own without any partnership because we wanted to kind of bring the lift to the customers there. And it's been going really well, and then that has enabled us to launch Kobo Plus in Australia and New Zealand. And that was done in partnership with Booktopia, who are sort of a really well-known kind of bookstore where we're powering their ebooks and their audiobooks. So why would an author opt into Kobo Plus? Truly what we're seeing as feedback is that it is increasing your revenue overall. So what this graph is showing, the orange-yellow sort of color, this is just an example of an account. The orange-yellow is the a la carte sales, so these are the standard ebook sales, and you can see that the blue is actually their take-home revenue from Kobo Plus. So it's just really growing depending on the markets, and we're just seeing kind of everyone's overall take-home earnings increase. It's non-exclusive, so I really think if you're publishing wide and that's your strategy, if you're publishing globally wide, why wouldn't you opt into this new area? It's just giving you the opportunity to reach readers that you might not have had access to by just selling the books right away. We often hear authors saying that they're selling a la carte in the Netherlands, which they would never have expected, and that's maybe due to the Kobo Plus being so well so well known in that region there. And then I wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot of like who is the subscriber, like so who is reading on Kobo Plus. So like I alluded to earlier, they really are the most voracious reader. They like serialized content and box sets. And what I mean by serialized content is just books in a series, not like the short form or anything, but just series do really well in this. So it's very key when you're publishing on Kobo to make sure that your metadata is really correct for each of your series information. If you have a typo in a series in one of your books, we're not going to be able to connect it. So that's really key to make sure you're doing that and that you're using the series number field correctly. We allow you to enter 0. You can also enter 0.5 as well if you have any novellas or anything in your series, so you can really entice it there. And we do a lot of push on our side to prompt customers to, if they have read one book, we want to try and get them to read the next book in the series. So there's like auto-generated emails that go through for that, and we're really trying to entice them in. So yeah, making sure that your metadata is correct there is something that I definitely recommend. And then what's really interesting is that we're always seeing box sets float to the top. So box sets do really well on Kobo in general. Our readers tend to see them in terms of convenience of having all of the books in one place, rather than necessarily getting a bargain for the box sets. And I guess the Kobo Plus readers kind of see it's like that perception of value of getting a number of books with just one book. And when you're getting paid for the minutes read, the longer the book, the better for you. And then also something to keep in mind with as we're doing minutes read is that you're also getting paid for any rereads. So if you have a box set and somebody is going over something that they've already read before, you're getting paid for that again as well. So I did break down just a couple of snapshots of the categories that sort of jumped out at me. Romance is always sort of one that is very popular on these genres, and when I looked to see sort of what type of romance is kind of increasing in popularity there, and again, not to say that if what you're writing isn't on this screen, it's not going to be good on Kobo Plus. These were just the snapshots of the ones that I kind of saw that I thought were interesting. So suspense is definitely on the rise. Paranormal is really popular. It's sort of having a moment at the moment. I suspect due to TikTok, you keep telling me about. So I think that's maybe a reason why. Mystery and detective. It's been interesting to see the police procedurals kind of have steady popularity and then increase in the women's sleuths. I think part of this might be to do with cozy mysteries being so popular at the moment, and with a lot of the time the women's sleuths are the main protagonists there. And then epic fantasies as well. I think with Kobo Plus, the longer, the more epic your fantasy is, the more enticing it is to that reader as they can gain access to all of them. So we really think that your backlist is really ideal for Kobo Plus. It can be a way to rejuvenate an older series, to really entice people to kind of read a backlist. And it can be a really great way of reaching an international audience, like I talked about the areas where we are based. And I pulled some stats when I was kind of just researching for this talk. And when I looked at all of the Kobo Writing Life titles that are being read in the Netherlands, over 30% of those are English books. So the Netherlands is interesting because there's a very strong English readership along with the Dutch readership. Where on the other hand, French readers really like French books. But when I looked at the Kobo Writing Life top reads in France, over 60% of those were translations. So it's a really good opportunity for authors who are considering going into translations or which markets to go to. French would be the #1 for us. And I think it's because there's sort of a lack of, not a lack, but there's not as many French authors writing in this field. So there's a want for this content, but it's not readily there. So I think it's a great opportunity for indies to sort of, if you're thinking about translations, French for sure. Dutch, I know, can be much more expensive, but if you do have Dutch translations, that's also something that could do really well on Kobo. And then we also are working on some kind of promotions around Kobo Plus. So you can, this isn't built out in our promotions tool or anything yet. It's something that I'd like to focus on next year. You know, by default, a lot of our titles are already getting a lot of spotlighting just due to the popularity, but we'd like to streamline this a little bit more. But one thing that I would say is that if you're new to Wide or new to Kobo Plus, you can let us know, because we do have an area that is just like new books this month, and we update that sort of regularly. We do different author of the month features as well, so if there's something that can align there, we can maybe work with you on that. And then we also have a new releases form that includes a section about whether you're in Kobo Plus or not. So we can definitely feature you in like new areas there, and then there's also different genre lists. Did you want to speak to the promotions at all? Because you're our promotions expert.
I think you covered it pretty well. A lot of the promotions in Kobo Plus are things that we are working on. We work really closely with our Kobo Plus team, great people, and they love to feature indie books. But really, it's let us know if you are opting in your titles for the first time, when you have a new release, and we will do everything we can to get merchandising space for you on the Kobo Plus page. And one thing I like to point out is that if you're kind of searching around on Kobo, trying to see what the storefronts look like, and you go to the Kobo Plus page, what you see and what Kobo Plus subscribers will see is going to be different, because Kobo Plus subscribers see everything that's opted in. When you're not subscribing, we're just trying to entice you in. So there are lists that you can be putting on that you just won't be able to see unless you are subscribed to Kobo Plus.
That's a good point actually as well, because Kobo Plus isn't available in the US, so you might not be able to see it at all. But one of the things that I like to advise people to do is if you go to kobo.com, there's a little flag that's at the top, and that's going to default to where you're based. So if you click on the American flag, it'll actually let you browse all of the other storefronts we have. So you can go into Canada, you can see what the Kobo Plus is like. I also recommend people to do this if you're kind of curious about pricing, like what are people pricing in the different markets. You can actually go and browse the different ones to see what the experience is like. And yeah, like I said, more opportunities to come. I hope to work on that next next year. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot. We had this media campaign running all summer in Canada, where this was heavily featured on like bus stops is a word. Bus stops, sort of different subways and things like that. We actually had TV spots as well. So we're sort of being a bit tongue-in-cheek with this. So as Kobo Plus is like not something to be ashamed about, like really embrace the sort of books that you're reading. We were using the tagline to be a reader, not a follower. So you can use this to just really read what you want to. So again, you might not have seen any of this because this was just running in Canada and those markets, but just wanted to give you a little bit of a highlight of that. And then coming soon for Kobo Plus, unfortunately I didn't get to update my slides before this presentation, but yesterday we actually had, on Tuesday, we had a launch where we included Kobo Plus audio into the Canadian market. So that was really exciting for us. So for customers in Canada now, they can choose if they wanted to do Kobo Plus Read, Kobo Plus Listen, or Kobo Plus Read and Listen. So that's been really interesting that we're able to integrate it there. So the Kobo Plus audio opt-in is built out. That is not coming soon. That has come on Tuesday. So you'll see that if you have audiobooks, you probably received an email from us about it. And then, like I said, we're going to work on dashboard reporting. In the meantime, you can actually see your Kobo Plus numbers. It's a separate invoice that you get every month. So if you're in your Kobo Writing Life account, at the very top, there's a button that says My Account, and if you go from here to Payment Information, that sends you to where your invoices are, and each month you'll have a regular sales invoice and then a Kobo Plus invoice. So that's where you can see it until we put it in the dashboard, and we're trying to work on just presenting it in a pretty way where you can kind of see how it is really comparing to the rest of your sales. And we're always exploring new territories as well, so definitely keep an eye on any of our socials, subscribe to our blog, listen to our podcast. That's where we do a lot of our announcements there. So then, just to sort of summarize, that we really want you to reach readers widely and however they would like to read. So just a reminder again of like the 4 kind of pillars of readers that you can reach using Kobo. So we have our digital reader, our listeners, your subscribers, and your borrowers. And I encourage you, if you haven't already, to join the Kobo Writing Life community. Like I said, we're a small team, but we have a dedicated team of indie experts who we really do live and breathe this stuff, which is why we're here. We're very lucky to get to check out some of the other chats as well going on at 20Books. So you can contact us at writinglife@kobo.com for dedicated author support. If you wanted to ask me any questions, my email is coming, but also a tip is if you email writinglife@kobo.com and put Tara anywhere in it, that just automatically comes to me, so I'll see that. I don't know if it's the same with Rachel, but...
No, but if your email says Rachel or just the word promotions in it, it will come to me.
Yeah, there's fewer Tara authors, so it doesn't become a problem.
So, quite a few Rachels.
Yeah. I mentioned that we have the Kobo Writing Life podcast, which is bi-weekly, where we have over 300 episodes. We have a monthly newsletter, the Kobo Writing Life Quill, that you can subscribe to get any updates that we have. And then our blog also has lots of good stuff. Our colleague Terrence is working on the blog, and he's doing a great job. And then you can follow us on the socials. We are on everything except TikTok, because I just don't know if we have the longevity for that just yet. But you can find us on everything else there. So thank you very much. I'll open the floor to questions. I'll leave our information up there if you do have any. And for questions, I'll ask that you come to the mic so people online can hear.
Good morning. I was with Kobo since day one. It's been the writing life. It's great. I published audiobooks through Findaway Voices and didn't realize I could do it directly through Kobo. And I'm intrigued by the Kobo, getting the audiobooks into the Kobo, the Plus.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your recommendation? Do I just pull them off of there and re-upload them, or is there some better way to do that?
Yeah, so with audiobooks, because we consider it still in beta, you won't see audiobooks in your account right away, so we have to grant you access. So the first thing, just email us and we'll turn that on for you. So then once you have, once you see the audiobook upload, what I would say is you can start publishing to Kobo and then take them down from Findaway. All you have to do is just opt out of Kobo. You can keep your books on Findaway for a number of other things. Findaway also do opt into Kobo Plus, I believe, but they don't let you choose the territories. So it depends on, I know it's a lot of time if you have to try and move audiobooks over. But the main difference, if you were to come direct, I think you earn a little bit more, and then you also have access to those audiobook promotions that we're running. So we have a mailing list just for audio promos. It's not integrated into the tool just yet, so that would be the main difference. So definitely just email so you can see and have access first, and then whichever way you decide.
Do you earn more because you're not paying Findaway their cut, or do you just earn more because you pay a little bit more?
It's because you're not foregoing the aggregator fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Hi. You said to let you guys know if we are new to Kobo Plus or opting into Kobo Plus. Do you mean letting you two know personally, or do you mean, is there like a dashboard option?
Yeah, you can let us know personally, or just emailing writinglife@kobo.com. We're in there all the time, so we'll see it either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about best practices for your blurb or landing page copy for a book. Like, I know that they discuss, with Amazon, there are certain things that are really great to do. Google, with Apple. I didn't know with Kobo if there's something you recommend, like including any review snippets or keywords or anything like that to help with the search engine.
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't have keywords at Kobo in the same way that you can enter them on some of the other platforms. So what I always recommend is making sure, and I always say this wrong, I always say SEO optimized, but always optimized, but making sure that your blurb is SEO friendly. So you're sort of really enticing and putting the keywords in a way, you can put them at the bottom if you want, but it's not the most enticing to the reader. So I would make sure that your blurb is sort of doing that. You can definitely include some reviews if you wanted to. You have the option to like bold and italicize different areas of your blurb. One thing that I would say that we don't love is if they're reviews from other retailers. It's sort of confusing to the customer. We don't have an outright ban on anything like that, but just as a best practice, I'd sort of avoid that. Do you have anything? You're looking at the blurbs a lot more than I am, I think.
My thing would be when you're scrolling through the store, just kind of look at how much of your blurb is visible. If you're like searching for romance, you'll just see like a top couple of sentences. A lot of authors will do like a tagline in bold, and I find that's really enticing because it then will encourage readers to click through to your book's product page from search or from a larger carousel of books.
Yeah, that's a good point. On the search results, it's just a limited, you're only seeing the first sentence or two. And even on the product page, they have to click more to see the rest of it. So yeah, really using those first couple of sentences as your hook.
You mentioned that 1 out of 4 books sold on Kobo is an indie book. Do you see the same pattern with the revenue from the subscription? Does 25% of the money go to indie authors?
I don't know. I don't know if I can comment on the number specifically, but it's higher than that. So indies are very well represented within Kobo Plus.
First, thank you so much for allowing AI narrated audiobooks.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting to mention that in the
We're
talk.
very grateful.
Sorry. Yeah, we do accept the AI audio, but if you're producing those through Google or anything else, you can upload those to our audiobooks as well.
And my question is, I have trouble staying in my lane genre-wise, which has harmed me on other retailers because of those nasty, pesky algorithms. So I'm wondering how powerful the recommendation engine works on Kobo regarding genre. Should I be working harder to differentiate between, or I don't want you to recommend my scary books to my nice, sweet grandmas.
Do you use the same pen name for?
Because I do not have a smart business mind, yes.
No, I think with you can probably speak more of it to the personalized. It's based on reading preference more than genre. So I feel like what we do with the emails and with how, like I was saying, we're trying to tailor each store to the customer themselves. It's more based on what they've already read, what they're browsing, what they're clicking on. So if you're not seeing overlap, we're probably not going to sell them just because it's your author name. It would be based more on that.
One little thing. So if you are clicking, I spend a lot of time on our store. If you click into a product page, sometimes what you'll see is more by the author and then more books like. So there will be 2 different recommendation carousels. So they might see more books by you, but then they'll also see more books that are like the book that they're looking at. So they'll see more cozy mysteries rather than spooky stories.
Thank you.
was wondering, do you plan to take the Kobo Plus to the US?
I know
Sorry,
that rumor's going around.
can you repeat your question?
Oh, sorry, he asked me to repeat. Do you plan to move Kobo Plus to the US?
We're always looking at new territories. There's nothing I can talk about, unfortunately, at the moment. But yeah, I think if you kind of keep an eye on any of our socials or anything like that, we'll have announcements there. But yeah, always looking for more. But yeah, the biggest focus at the moment was just sort of integrating the audiobooks and launching that this week while we were here as well.
Just to speak to the audiobook piece, when it comes to the Google AI narrative books, I just want to make sure people know the one thing we request is that it is visible that it is an AI narrated book. So either on your cover or in your blurb, just so customers know.
Yeah, making that really obvious, even including your narrator that says AI. We just want to make sure that we're not disappointing anyone that is expecting it to be an erasure or anything like that. So yeah, if you are uploading those, just to be aware of that, to make it sort of as obvious as possible. Right. Is there any questions from online?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I'll let you guys go and grab some of the last pastries and some more coffee. And thanks so much. Like I said, it's early in the morning. You're on your last day, so thank you. I appreciate you being here.
I'll be back for the next session as well.